The Uphaar Cinema tragedy remains one of the darkest days in the history of India. On June 13, 1997, a devastating fire broke out at the Uphaar Cinema in Delhi during the screening of the film Border, leading to the loss of 59 lives and injuring over 100 people. This tragic incident highlighted severe lapses in safety regulations and accountability, bringing attention to the need for stringent enforcement of safety standards in public places. This video will take you through the details of the events of that fateful day, an analysis of the causes and the aftermath of the tragedy. The morning of June 13, 1997. The day started like any other for the staff and patrons of Uphaar Cinema, located in Green Park in South Delhi. The cinema was a popular venue, and the much-anticipated movie Border, based on the 1971 Indo-Pak War, was drawing significant crowds. In the early afternoon, as the first show of the day concluded, preparations for the 3 p.m. screening began. Patrons started arriving, excited to watch the patriotic film. Among them were families, children, and many regular moviegoers. The screening begins. The 3 p.m. show began as scheduled. The hall was almost fully occupied. Unknown to the patrons, a potential disaster was silently brewing in the building's basement, where a malfunctioning transformer was situated. At around 4:55 p.m., a transformer in the basement caught fire due to an electrical fault. The transformer had reportedly undergone repairs earlier in the day, but the underlying issues were not fully addressed. Flames and smoke began to emanate from the basement, unnoticed by the cinema staff and patrons. The fire spread rapidly due to the combustible materials stored in the basement, including highly flammable upholstery. The smoke began to travel through the ventilation system into the auditorium, creating a deadly environment. Around 5:10 p.m., the audience began to notice the smoke and the pungent smell of burning materials. Panic set in as the smoke thickened, making it difficult to see or breathe. The lights went out, adding to the chaos. Patrons rushed towards the exits, only to find many of them locked or blocked. The emergency exits were either non-functional or inaccessible due to the heavy smoke and flames. The main entrance, which was supposed to be an exit route, was obstructed by vehicles parked illegally. Many people were trapped in the balcony section, where the smoke was the densest. Those who managed to reach the exits faced locked doors and could not escape the inferno. The lack of proper signage and emergency lighting further complicated the evacuation efforts. The fire department was alerted, but the congested streets and the illegally parked vehicles delayed their arrival. By the time the firefighters reached the scene, the fire had intensified, and the situation inside the cinema was dire. Firefighters struggled to control the blaze and rescue trapped patrons. They managed to bring the fire under control after an hour of intense effort. The scene inside the cinema was harrowing, with many bodies found in the aisles and near exits, indicating desperate attempts to escape. The tragedy claimed 59 lives, including children. Most of the victims died due to asphyxiation, unable to find their way out of the smoke-filled auditorium. Over 100 people sustained injuries, many of whom were severely burnt or suffered from smoke inhalation. Let us analyze what was the cause of this disaster. The Uphaar Cinema tragedy was a result of gross negligence and safety lapses. Key factors contributing to the disaster include 1. Electrical faults. The transformer had a history of malfunctions, and inadequate repairs left it vulnerable to catching fire. 2. Lack of fire safety measures. The cinema lacked basic fire safety measures, including functional fire alarms, extinguishers, and a proper sprinkler system. 3. Blocked exits. Emergency exits were either locked or blocked, preventing a safe evacuation. 4. Poor building maintenance. The building's maintenance was neglected, with flammable materials stored in the basement and improper ventilation systems. 5. Violation of regulations. The cinema violated multiple safety regulations, including those related to fire safety and building codes. Now let's see the aftermath of the tragedy. The legal proceedings. The tragedy led to a prolonged legal battle. The owners of Uphaar Cinema, Sushil and Gopal Ansal, were charged with culpable homicide not amounting to murder. In 2007, a trial court found them guilty, sentencing them to 2 years in prison. However, the case saw numerous appeals and delays. In 2015, the Supreme Court of India reduced their sentence to 1 year, citing their age and health. This decision sparked outrage among the victims' families, who felt justice had not been served. The Association of Victims of Uphaar Tragedy, AVUT, was formed by the families of the victims. Led by Neelam Krishnamurthy, AVUT fought tirelessly for justice and stricter safety regulations. Their efforts brought attention to the need for accountability and safety in public places. The Uphaar tragedy prompted significant changes in fire safety regulations. The Delhi Fire Service, DFS, and other regulatory bodies implemented stricter enforcement of safety standards, including 1. Regular inspections. Mandatory regular inspections of public buildings to ensure compliance with fire safety norms. 2. Emergency exits. Ensuring that emergency exits are functional and accessible at all times. 3. Fire safety equipment. Installation and maintenance of fire safety equipment, such as alarms, extinguishers, and sprinklers. 4. Public awareness. Increasing public awareness about fire safety measures and emergency evacuation procedures. Later, after the tragedy, a memorial was erected in honor of the victims, serving as a reminder of the tragedy and the importance of safety regulations. Every year, families and supporters gather to pay tribute to those who lost their lives and to advocate for better safety standards. The Uphaar Cinema tragedy was a heartbreaking event that highlighted the dire consequences of negligence and the lack of accountability. The loss of 59 innocent lives was a stark reminder of the importance of stringent safety measures and the enforcement of regulations in public places. While the legal battle for justice continues to evoke mixed emotions, the tragedy has led to significant changes in fire safety norms and increased awareness about the importance of emergency preparedness. The resilience and determination of the victims' families through organizations like AVUT ensure that the lessons learned from this tragedy will not be forgotten and continue to drive efforts for a safer future.